So picture this: Paris Fashion Week. Flashing lights, velvet ropes, champagne flutes clinking in the hands of the elite. Every major celebrity is there. Cameras are snapping, editors are scribbling, but you know who's not there? Meghan Markle. Yeah, not a front row seat in sight, not even a whisper of her name on any invite list. And that silence, it wasn't accidental. See, fashion is like high-stakes poker with silk and sequins. It's all about who holds power, who gets seen, who sits where. And Meghan, she just got told, very subtly, very brutally, to get up from the table. Now, let's rewind for a second. This isn't about whether Meghan looks good in designer clothes. Everyone knows she does. Her style? Clean, royal chic. Her influence used to be massive, but lately, behind the scenes, something's shifted. Balenciaga, the same brand that once set trends like wildfire, ghosted her. And not just them. Other A-list houses quietly followed. No drama, no shade, just nothing. And in this industry, nothing is loud. What's happening here isn't just a case of, oh, maybe she didn't want to go. That's the PR spin. The truth? She was iced out. One source said her name was on the list, and then it wasn't. Designers looked at it and straight up said, nah, not this season. Some PR reps didn't even respond to inquiries. Others gave the classic, we're full lash in terms, is basically a diplomatic middle finger. But why? Why now? This isn't a coincidence. It's a quiet campaign, a type of exile you only see when the stakes are high and no one wants to get their hands dirty. And Meghan, knowingly or not, stepped into a minefield. Here's what insiders are saying. The fashion world, like any power circle, loves control. And Meghan, she's unpredictable. One week it's a lawsuit, next week a podcast, then a Netflix doc. She generates heat. But for luxury brands, heat isn't always good. They want mystique, control, subtlety. Meghan's image has turned into a lightning rod. Too many opinions, too many headlines. And when your name starts becoming shorthand for controversy, even when it's not your fault, brands pull back. Think of it like this. You're a fashion house. You drop $10 million on a show. You want all the focus on your collection, your models, your brand story. But if Meghan walks in, every headline turns into a royal soap opera. Not about the clothes, not about the craft, just drama. And for an industry that survives on perception, that kind of noise becomes a liability. Now here's where it gets darker. Some insiders believe this wasn't just brands making individual choices. Word is, there's pressure from higher up. One legacy house, with deep roots in royalty and image preservation, may have whispered the first no, and everyone else just followed suit. Because in fashion, when one gatekeeper closes the door, others don't want to be the only ones left open. And Meghan, she's not dumb. She probably saw this coming. Her team reportedly scrambled after the freeze became obvious, trying to flip the story. They wanted it to look like she was choosing not to attend. But real talk, you can't decline what you weren't invited to. This wasn't fashion snobbery. It was strategy, cold, calculated, and effective. Meghan Markle, once the darling of style pages, just got a full-on no words needed rejection. And the way it was done? Brutal in its elegance. No statement. No headline, just absence, the kind that stings the most. Fashion doesn't scream when it wants you gone. It whispers, it uninvites, it goes silent. That's the weapon, silence. No drama, no scandal, just a slow eraser. Meghan Markle didn't get banned from Paris. She got erased from it, and the industry made sure it looked effortless. One fashion exec said it best, we didn't have to blacklist her, we just stopped answering the emails. That's the level of subtlety we're talking about. But don't get it twisted. This wasn't passive, it was coordinated, strategic. Executives, stylists, PR managers all played their part. No one wanted to be the one brand tied to the unmanageable duchess. Behind the scenes, her team was grinding. They reached out to stylists she'd worked with before, hoping to land even a single collaboration. But the responses came back lukewarm, polite, empty. One brand rep simply replied, we're prioritizing quieter stories this season. That one line said it all. Meghan, once the moment, had become the noise. And in fashion, noise is deadly. Every designer wants control over their narrative. They want their gowns to speak louder than the people wearing them. But Meghan, she walks into a room and the conversation shifts. It's no longer about the dress, it's about the duchess, the lawsuit, the royal rift, the Netflix contract, the endless headlines. For brands who deal in illusion, that kind of reality is poison. Some insiders are calling it fashion's version of social death by exclusion, and it's vicious. There's no public fallout, no burned bridges, just ghosting, politely executed. And because no one says anything out loud, Meghan can't push back without looking paranoid or bitter. If she speaks up, they'll say, "What are you talking about? You were never blacklisted." But she knows. Everyone knows. It's the ultimate power move. Deny access, without ever admitting it was denied. There's also talk about royalty playing a role here. Not directly, but quietly. Fashion has long flirted with royalty. The elegance, the heritage, the control. Brands with royal patrons don't want drama. They want class. And Meghan, with all her headlines, no longer fits that mold. Whispers suggest one house, a pillar of legacy fashion, put out the quiet word. No collaborations, no invitations, not now. Whether it's about preserving royal ties or avoiding controversy, the result is the same. Meghan gets iced. What's brutal is how clean it was. She didn't walk into a room and get turned away. She never even got through the door. No front row seats, no brand tags, not a single paparazzi shot in couture. And yet, she was in Paris. She was there, just not where the cameras were looking. That's how exclusion works. When it's done by experts, it makes you invisible, without ever saying your name. And still, this wasn't just a fashion issue. This freeze-out is sending signals far beyond the runway. Hollywood is watching, the media is watching, investors are watching. Meghan's lifestyle brand, supposed to launch this year with high-end fashion and beauty collabs, those talks have slowed. Some brands are re-evaluating, some are waiting for the right time, which is code for, let's see if she recovers or fades. Even streaming execs are cautious. She's not landing major deals, no blockbuster interviews. Her presence is still there, but the energy around her has dimmed. It's not hatred, it's fatigue. People are tired of the noise, tired of the sideshow, and when an audience gets tired, the spotlight dims fast. Meghan's been underestimated before, no doubt, but this time the freeze is deeper. It's not one brand turning away, it's an entire system pressing pause. And in an industry that thrives on momentum, even a pause can feel permanent. There's a saying in fashion, you're only as relevant as your last front row. And right now, Meghan Markle's seat is cold. But this isn't just a style setback, it's a reputation recalibration. The frost from Paris has seeped into the broader industry, and everyone's trying to figure out the same thing. Is she still bankable? Some insiders believe this freeze-out was meant to humble her, a kind of unspoken check on her rising profile. Meghan had become her own brand, separate from the royal machine, separate from Hollywood, separate even from Harry. That level of independence, especially from a woman who refuses to play by the rules, makes certain circles uncomfortable. And when power feels threatened, it doesn't shout, it tightens access. Quietly, permanently. Still, there's one thing Meghan has always been good at, the pivot. Every time she's counted out, she reemerges with a new angle. Suits, royalty, podcasts, Netflix. Her career path isn't linear, it's reactive, molded by resistance. That unpredictability may scare fashion houses, but it's also what makes her dangerous to underestimate. There's buzz now about her switching gears, moving away from Europe's icy couture circles and leaning into American labels. Brands with bolder missions and looser traditions. Think Ralph Lauren, Prabal Gurung, even rising sustainable designers who would kill for her visibility. In the US, Meghan still has a sizable audience. And American fashion, unlike its European counterpart, thrives on reinvention. They don't care where you've been, they care where you're going. But the stakes are higher now. If she miscalculates, launches a product line that flops, or steps back without a plan, she risks fading for real. That's the cruel truth of celebrity. Silence is either strategy or a slow death, and no one wants to be remembered as a headline from 3 seasons ago. Still, there's a sense, especially among those who've worked with her, that Meghan isn't done. One former stylist described her as a chess player with great clothes. She doesn't rush, she studies, she waits for the right opening, and when she moves, it's deliberate. If she builds her own fashion label, not as a side project, but as a real high-end contender, that could change the narrative completely. The same houses that turn their backs might one day line up to collaborate. That's how fast the tide turns when relevance returns. Public opinion will be the deciding factor, not fashion insiders, not palace whispers, the people. If the audience keeps clicking, keeps sharing, keeps watching, the brands will come crawling back. They always do when there's profit to chase. Loyalty in fashion is a myth. Relevance is the only religion. Meghan knows this game now. The silence around her isn't new. She's seen it before. In tabloids, in palace corridors, in meeting rooms with fake smiles. But she also knows how to break that silence. Not with noise, but with presence. A well-timed look. A headline she controls. A comeback that doesn't ask for permission. So, what's next for her? Maybe she creates something of her own. A new fashion house, a media brand, a lifestyle empire on her own terms. Or maybe she waits. Lets the frost melt while everyone else gets comfortable. Either way, if there's one thing history's taught us about Meghan Markle, it's this. She never stays sidelined for long. When the doors close, she builds new ones. And when the fashion world finally realizes what it pushed away, she might not even answer the call.